So everyone say hello now.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Three,
Hi.
four, okay. Now I'll share. Can I just do oh okay. So if you've been wanting to try a new food, I have something that may interest you. For this speech, I chose to do tamales as it is one of my favorite foods, yet I've never learned how to make it until now. And in this presentation, I'm going to be going over three things. First, I'll explain what a tamale is for those of you who don't know, and then I'll go over the history of tamales, and lastly, I'll share my experience making tamales. So, to begin, what is a tamale? A tamale is a traditional Latin American dish which primarily consists of three ingredients. So, you have your masa, which is a dough made from corn. And then you have your filling, which is typically a meat like pork, chicken, or beef, but people have their preference, so they can do whatever they want. And then lastly, you have the corn husk, and a lot of people make the mistake of eating this when they first have one, so you don't eat this. And making this food, it's pretty labor intensive, so it's really only reserved for like special occasions such as family or holiday celebrations, as making it from scratch involves like around 100 steps. And now, the origin of tamales. Tamales have been around since 7000 BC, originating from Mesoamerica. The Aztecs called it tamal, which is where we get the word tamale, and this means wrapped food, essentially. Now, other Mesoamerican civilizations had their own names for the tamale, as you see here, such as the Mayans calling it the ua or the pibs by the Yucatans. And now, what's different from today's tamales to tamales back then was that they had not yet discovered corn. So instead of corn, they used a plant called teosintol because it had a sweet stalk, which is this thing here. However, when they harvested these stalks, the plant was pollinated, and from that, grew, corn grew. Now, tamales also served a religious significance as well. The Aztecs served special types of tamales to specific gods, and as you see here, I have some gods. So, for example, one god would be given a bean tamale, another would get a shrimp tamale, fungi tamale, or even honey tamale, and so on. Um, Before getting into my experience, quick backstory. Growing up, my mom was always like the the designated tamale maker in the family because everyone agreed hers were the best. So almost every year, around Thanksgiving or Christmas, she would make tamales for us all. Here's a brief overview of the process for tamale making. We buy our masa pre-made just for convenience, and so we don't have to go through those 100 steps. So that just leaves me to make the sauce, cook the pork, assemble the tamale, and then wrap it and put it to steam. Now, the first step was to make the sauce, and all I did was got my ingredients and I blended it up, as you see here, my sauce. And this step was quite simple. I just cut the pork into chunks and then removed any fat. And once the pork was finished, I added in the sauce and I let those two cook together a little longer, and this would make my filling for the tamale. Here is where I struggled a little bit. I couldn't get the masa onto the corn husk, so I had my mom do that for me. But apart from that, I added in the filling and then I wrapped the tamales and put them to steam. And to wrap everything up, tamales are basically a special occasion type of food. They have a long history for and have been around for many centuries, and even to this day, they are still a strong part of Hispanic culture. But apart from that, making these was an eye-opening experience into just how labor intensive it is to make these. So I now understand like why you don't just make these on your average Sunday. If you get the opportunity to try an authentic tamale, I highly suggest it as opposed to a frozen one you can buy at a grocery store because those don't do any justice. And I assure you, you will not be disappointed. However, remember, don't eat the husk. Thank you.